Adventurous kids, explore with education and learning what a wild life is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West. Adventurous kids, learning and fun. Adventurous kids!
Today we're going to tell you
about conditioning.
Classical conditioning and operant conditioning are two fundamental concepts in psychology that explain how behaviors are learned and modified. Both the cries are essential to understanding how humans and animals respond to their environments, but they differ in the processes by which they shape behavior.
Classical conditioning, first identified by Ivan Pavlov, is a type of learning in which neutral stimulus becomes associated with a meaningful stimulus, causing the neutral stimulus to evoke a similar response. The most famous example of classical conditioning comes from Pavlov's experiments with dogs. Pavlov noticed that dogs began salivating when they heard the sounds of a bell, even in the absence of food. Initially, the bell was a neutral stimulus, but through repeated pairing with the presentation of food, an unconditioned stimulus that naturally triggered salivation, the bell alone eventually triggered the salivation response, now a conditioned response. Classical conditioning involved automatic or involuntary responses to stimuli, where the behavior is a natural reaction to something in the environment.
In contrast, operant conditioning, developed by B.F. Skinner, involves learning through consequences. It is based on the idea that behaviors are influenced by the rewards or punishments that follow them. In this form of learning, behaviors that are followed by positive consequences, reinforcements, are more likely to be repeated, while those followed by negative consequences, punishments, are less likely to occur. A good example of operant conditioning is a child who receives praise, a positive reinforcement for cleaning their room. The child is more likely to clean their room again in the future, knowing that it will result in a reward. Alternatively, if the child were punished for not cleaning their room, a negative consequence, they might be less inclined to repeat the behavior. Unlike classical conditioning, operant conditioning involves voluntary behaviors where the individual actively engages in an action with the knowledge that it will result in a particular consequence.
Despite their differences, classical and operant conditioning share several similarities. Both involve learning through associations between stimuli and responses. In classical conditioning, the association is between a neutral stimulus and an unconditioned stimulus, while in operant condition, the association is between a behavior and its consequences. Additionally, both forms of conditioning aim to modify behavior over time, either by reinforcing or associating certain stimuli with particular responses.
However, the key difference between the two lies in the type of response they target and the role of the learner. Classical conditioning focuses on involuntary, automatic behaviors that occur as a result of an environmental stimulus, while operant conditioning emphasizes voluntary behaviors that are shaped by consequences. In classical conditioning, the subject's behavior is more passive, reacting to stimuli, whereas in operant conditioning, the subject is more active, performing behaviors to achieve certain outcomes. Moreover, classical conditioning does not involve rewards or punishments directly, but rather the association of stimuli, whereas operant conditioning revolves around the direct use of reinforcement or punishment to modify behavior.
In summary, classical and operant conditioning are both crucial concepts for understanding behavior. Classical conditioning centers on the automatic reflexive response to stimuli, while operant conditioning emphasizes the active role of the individual in modifying behavior through consequences. While they share a foundational principle of learning through associations, they differ in their mechanisms and the types of behaviors they aim to shape. Together, they provide a comprehensive understanding of how organisms learn to adapt to their environment. Thank you so much for watching
this Adventurous Kids episode. Blessed be.
What did you learn today?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
What was the most interesting fact?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
Yeah!